Hi, my name is Elaine Friend. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist in California and an international consultant on high sensitivity here online in the internet world. I'm answering questions in December about parenting sensitive children and about being highly sensitive. So this is a question that has come in. This one is, my highly sensitive extroverted 4-year-old does not like to be alone. She wants to be in the bathroom with me or me with her. When I'm in the living room with her brother and she's in the kitchen finishing up lunch, she takes an hour to eat. That's not uncommon. While she talks to me and sees me in our open floor plan, she says, I don't want to be alone. Or being left in the living room for 15 minutes while I start a nap with her little brother doesn't work out most days. She spends much of her quiet time in a location where she can see me down below and frequently speaks with me or wants attention. She has the hardest time letting us go at bedtime. I want to honor her extroverted needs, but I think it's important for her to have some downtime to recharge. I'd like to help her get comfortable with some time alone for that reason. Sometimes she naturally pulls away into a book while I cook, or she'll have one of her designated quiet times where she's totally in her zone, but that's not most of the time. Any tips, or am I expecting too much of a 4-year-old highly sensitive extrovert? Well, this is a great scenario, great question, and a real challenge. I'm sorry. um, these children can be so challenging to raise and so time consuming and exhausting for the parents. And I'll just harken back to Elaine's book that came out this year, 2020, The Highly Sensitive Parent, where she was talking about how we can't do our best unless we're well rested. And that's what our children need most from us. And um, it's hard to find that balance between being well rested and, um, being able to really show up and be with your child. So I just want to say that as a disclaimer that that's a challenge and fully acknowledge. The other challenge is highly sensitive extroverts. Wow, they're a hot mess. No offense, HSCs. And I did a webinar and a few short videos with Jacqueline Strickland about being, she calls those folks sensitive extroverts. And it's especially challenging. And in fact, the research shows that extroverts, whether they're sensitive or not, have a harder task because they don't have the pull to go in and to have more downtime. So parent, you are spot on. You need to train this child now, and you're doing the best that you can, and we'll do more, right? To seek some alone time and some downtime. Because you're right, that is exactly what she needs. And without the pull or the drive to spend time alone, it has to become a discipline. So at the same time, I want to remind us all that sensitive children have slower developmental milestones than children who don't have the trait. All that deep processing that we do, we process our development as well. And so when you have a 4-year-old, there are just some parts of her that are still so two. So you might see some of this pull and drive for connection and time with mommy, especially since she has a little brother, it sounds like, who is getting, maybe it's an older child, but if you have a younger sibling who's getting more of that, that mommy time or that intimate parent time because they have more needs, the 4-year-old sensitive child feels like they need that same thing that the younger sibling is getting. So sometimes there's just not enough of you to go around. If you're parenting at home, part of the time you're home alone as the only parent, or even if you're all the time that way. So what do you do about that? So just speaking developmentally without the extroversion piece. I mean, I think really the most important thing about the extroversion piece is that she needs to learn it even more than a sensitive introvert does, because they're more likely to choose time alone. So developmentally, let's see her as two. Especially when everything's not ideal. She hasn't had a ton of outdoor play, or she had some screen time, or she had some foods that don't ground her and balance her, or she hasn't had enough to eat because she's such a slow eater, or she didn't get enough sleep. Whatever that is, anytime she's not at her optimal level of arousal, that's what we call that, where you're neither too stressed nor too bored, somewhere in between. Every child, every adult has their own optimal level of arousal. It's something unique to each individual. So whenever this child is not at her optimal level of arousal, what's going to happen is you're going to have the 2-year-old. And a 2-year-old doesn't really get to spend much time alone, right? Only when they're napping. And because we have to watch them eagle eye. And if we don't, they get into trouble, right? So the instinct to have always the parent, especially the primary parent, right there glued to them, is a survival instinct in a 2-year-old. So I guess the question, am I expecting too much of a 4-year-old HSE, highly sensitive extrovert? Kind of, but we all are. We all are so ready for those 4-year-olds to grow up. And they're so young when they're highly sensitive. So one of the things that we need to do is, I have a subcontext that I'm hearing in this question, just assuming it was me. My projection is that you need more time alone, whoever's asking this question. And because I know I would, and I did. And actually, I'll tell you a little dark secret about parenting my young preschooler when he was that young was, we used timeouts in my family, and my son would not stay in his room. We didn't use them for the kid. I'll tell you how we used them. Timeout meant mommy's taking a timeout. So I put a lock on my bedroom door. And if I was exhausted and I needed to retreat, I would retreat to my bedroom and lock the door. And there were times when he would be banging on the door. But I knew if I didn't have that few minutes to just close my eyes and breathe or do push-ups, which is one of my favorite stress reduction, push-ups and planks. It's really hard to stress when you're doing that because it takes so much energy, especially if you engage all your muscles the way they tell you to. So that is, just the truth. You have to have some time alone. And another technique that I suggest is to practice with them, with your children, where you go outside the window where they can see you. It's really good if you have a sliding glass or French doors in your house, but if not, or a screen door, somewhere where you can be outside and they can see you. And you can say, Mommy's going to go outside for 1 minute. And you set a timer with a countdown, or you give them the kitchen timer to set the timer, and you slowly but surely increase the amount of time. I do think it's completely appropriate to do the bathroom by yourself. And it's one of the little known secrets of parenthood that most bathrooms have locks on them. Most bathroom doors have locks on them. And it's okay. She can sit right on the other side of the door and read or scream or cry. Eventually, she will learn that everybody gets to have privacy and alone time. It's really important, parents, that you say, I need to be alone. I need some alone time. I need some quiet time, and to go take it and to let your child have their fit. Just make it a really short one in the beginning until they learn to tolerate it. So you use your need. Does that make sense? You use your need to train them, to show them what you want. You're also entering the 5-year developmental period, which is somewhere between 4 and 6, is the year that our children learn the most from us. They're just the sponges. It's unbelievable how much they take in. So you're in that space right now where you want to start to do the things that you want your child to do with your child, and having alone time is one of them. Also, you could just say, I am so tired and I'm feeling kind of overwhelmed from all the talking and all the noise. So I'm going to lay down in my room and turn the lights off for 1 to 5 minutes, increase the time. Usually they can tolerate about as many minutes as they are years old until you train them. And you can do whatever you want. In the beginning, they can be in the room with you, but you can't hear any more voices. In fact, you might get an eye cover or roll up a bandana and cover it over your eyes so that you can't see them no matter what. And just really enforce that you will take time alone. Of course, the flip side of that is they're alone, right? When you're doing that. You can set zones up that are mommy only or daddy only zones. And maybe sometimes you play and love on your bed, but sometimes your bed, it's your timeout time or your rest time, whatever you want to call it in your family. The other thing is that You can do what I like to say, sort of regression or reverse parenting. We tend to want our children to grow up and to be able to do more things. But I would suggest that at least once every day, if not a few times every day, you take your 4-year-old and you treat her like she's a tiny baby. You get her dressed and don't ask her to dress herself. You cuddle her up and you call her your tiny baby. Maybe you pop out if she's moved on from sippy cups, you bring the sippy cup back or a bottle and put some water in it and encourage her to just be the tiniest baby that she can possibly be. And you just look into her eyes, almost as if you were nursing her, just really have her right here cradled in your arm and look into her eyes and sing her lullabies. If you're not still reading her the little board books like Goodnight Moon or Time for Bed or um, I can't remember, I Love You This Much. If you are not still reading those little board books, pull them out. And especially if you have a younger child, you probably still have them, and read the little baby books. Read them to the 2 children together, but also read them to the 4-year-old or the 5-year-old alone. And let them be so small and so cuddled and cradled, and only do it when you're at your best. Don't do it if you're feeling a little resentful or exhausted. And believe me, there are plenty of times that I felt that way. And I really honor that there are times when we don't have it in us. So take your break, go to do yoga with Adrienne in your living room, go for a run, get your partner or your best friend or your sister or your mother or your father or the uncle, somebody to come and spend some time with the kids, and you take care of yourself. And then you just show up and you just over attach to them. This is the way to make them so secure in their attachment that you show up, you're just all in 100% there. And you never do this when you're not all there. Then they have the ability to hold you inside them. So to wrap up, remember, think of her as 2 whenever it's not going well, and treat her like a 2-year-old in a loving way. Don't ask her to grow up or to be older. Set limits for yourself. Instead of trying to make her be alone, make yourself be alone. Call me for some consultation on this if you would like, because we'll start to enforce it with her, but first enforce it with yourself and model it for her, because she's taking it in. Hide on the other side of the window. Close your eyes. Let them see you having your eyes closed. Put on your headphones and listen to soothing music so you can't hear her when she's feeling okay, and train her. You are spot on. Train her to take downtime. If she's not doing naps, that's the other thing, is to bring nap back in. It doesn't matter what she does. It's nap time, and she needs to be on her bed so she can read, she can listen to a recorded book, she can tell herself a story or play with her dolls or her stuffies. And but it's a good nap time. So everybody takes a nap. I hope this is helpful. I would love to discuss this more. Thank you so much for writing in. I love helping parents raise their sensitive children. This is Elaine Friend, and if you're seeing this on YouTube or on Facebook, I hope that you'll subscribe to my YouTube channel so YouTube will show my content to more people. And also leave some comments. Other parents would love to hear what you think and what you do. What are your solutions? How can you help this parent? Thanks all. Bye.